Well, with 3 episodes in, it's clear what storyline Fear the Walking Dead knows the least of what to do with. Hey guys, it's Kevin Mark for Fear the Walking Dead, Season 2, Episode 10, Do Not Disturb, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. I know, like I said, I wasn't the hugest fan of last week's episode. I really liked the Nick stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of what was going on in that hotel. I just found it very meandering and very boring. But this episode, I was hoping would get things a little more intense, and once again, this is another one of those cases where I really liked one storyline and I really did not like the other. In fact, the storyline we had in this episode, I honestly felt this was kind of unnecessary. I don't really know why we've gone the direction we have with the main storyline this episode, and I feel like the writers in general don't really know what to do with this story, and I'm going to get into this, and I've talked about this before. The writers don't fully understand the characters they're writing for, but let's just get into this episode because I really do want to talk about it, because there was some really great stuff here, and what's ironic is that the stuff I said was boring last week was actually really interesting this week. And let me just say, one of the best parts of the episode by far was that first scene, which focuses on characters that we've never met before, but it was so interesting. We see this family, they're celebrating this wedding reception, and one man calls his brother Oscar and his bride to the stage. They have their first dance. He jokes about the dance being embarrassing, and the family watches as he dips her down before the father of the bride joins her, and it seems there's something wrong with the parents. We don't really know what it is. Now, you can tell that obviously something's going to go down. I mean, it's Fear the Walking Dead. Definitely something's going to happen. A hotel employee then asks if everything's okay. The woman tells her that the virus is spreading and she wants her family north of the border before it spreads, and the hotel employee basically instructs the employee to go get the cars, and the father collapses on the dance floor right then there. Crazy scene, and he has a heart attack, and his daughter and her husband perform CPR. The hotel employees then try to call for help, but unfortunately there's no service, mainly because there's no one there, and the father reanimates, bites his daughter's face, which that was pretty crazy, and the hotel employee then flees, locks the door behind her, and what I really loved about that scene is that we didn't know these characters before. We pretty much got to know everything we needed to know. We knew that obviously there were people in this hotel before. There obviously was a reason why it was abandoned, and I don't know if this was the same, if this was like going on at the same time. I'm pretty sure this was going on this was pre-apocalypse, so this definitely was going on before they got to the hotel, which I thought was interesting to see. I really did like this scene overall, and I like that we didn't know who these characters were. I thought that definitely did add to the episode. I definitely thought it added to the scene because, again, it just added the necessary tension we needed. I definitely really did like that, and probably one of the best scenes of this season. I really did love the way that scene was done. Really good stuff, and I think really set up this character very well. We didn't know who they were, but that in general just made me really interested. I didn't really know what was going on in that scene, and that in general just made me very interested. So I definitely really did like that. The stuff I didn't like in this episode is whatever the hell is going on with Travis and Chris. Now, I don't dislike the character of Travis. I've always kind of liked him. I know a lot of people think that he's kind of a pussy for what he did. I've liked his character. I don't think he's a bad character. Chris, on the other hand, I really feel they have at this point no idea really what they're exactly doing with him. And I thought the way with Nick, but definitely seems like they know what they're doing with Nick. Now that we have Chris, it seems like Chris is a character that I feel shouldn't be here. I honestly feel that they probably should have killed him off by now. He doesn't really need to be here, and what they do with them in this episode just isn't really that interesting. Travis is living down a path with Chris. The two find a car, they search it for supplies, and Chris wants to just go out on his own, but Travis insists that they stay together, because Travis feels that he is the one that can redeem Chris. He feels that he's the one who can get him on the right path, and Chris insists that he can protect himself. Travis allows him to head off by himself, and he tosses a tool to defend himself with, and I thought that definitely was very interesting that we saw that. And he finds some water and some canned food in a nearby store, but he also hears voice in the back. He steals their supplies before some walkers walk in. One man emerges, Chris saves him, and other men come from out the back, this time with guns. Kristen runs back to the car, quickly fleeing the area with Travis. An armed stranger then watches them off, and we don't know who they are. And later in the night, they're driving through Mexico. They search the car for supplies and a radio signal, and all they find is this bracelet, and we don't know what it is, but Travis says that they're just going to drive far away from what's behind them as long as they can, and Travis stops the car, tells Chris that it's his turn to drive, and you can tell that Travis is clearly trying to bond with Chris. Obviously, ever since the whole Liza incident and what's happened there, Chris and Travis have not been on the best of terms. You can tell that Travis really is trying to help Chris. That's something I definitely did get. Chris is very dismissive in this episode, and you definitely do see that, and like I said, this to me, it wasn't that interesting. He's excited, he quickly hops in the driver's seat. Travis teaches him how to do it. Chris jerks the car around with inconsistent stomps on the pedal. He gets the hang of it, and Travis is very happy to see it, thinking that maybe he can help his son, and maybe he can get this bonding, because he's always wanted to be close with his son. You know, he's always been kind of estranged, and he's thinking, all right, maybe this will be the time where I can turn things around. Maybe I actually can help my son, and I thought that was a good scene. I liked the way that was done, so I definitely liked it overall. So then we go back to the hotel in this episode, which ironically enough, that is the stuff I liked in this episode. Why? Because we actually got stuff done in the hotel. Last week, it felt like they were working without a script. It seemed like there was just meandering stuff. There wasn't a ton going on. This week, though, I thought this was really interesting, and particularly for Alicia. I thought this was a great showcase for the actress who plays Alicia. I really love what they do with her in this episode. She, in general, I thought was great here. I really love what they do with her. She uses this knife to mark a door as walkers stumble in by the hallway. She looks through the peephole once again, and she's ready to go out and fight, and she sees this walker staring back at her, banging on the door, and I love seeing Alicia just go into the full badass mode, you know, trying to search for Ophelia, which we don't get an update of where Ophelia went in this episode, which that's the thing that really pissed me off at this episode, that we still don't know what the hell happened to Ophelia, which I wish we did, but we didn't. So, as Chris drives, Travis tends to his injured foot. A walker appears in front of them. Chris drives around it. He tells Travis that driving is easy. The conversation turns to Travis's belief that the world will come back around to the way it was, and this is something that I think Travis needs to realize is just not going to happen. I mean, I don't understand why Travis is still thinking that the world is not going to change. I mean, obviously, things are changing and things aren't going to go back to that way. I don't know why he thinks that. He has faith that they are working on it and they can get back when they lost, and Chris reminds him not everything, and the car then runs out of gas, so they set up camp on the side of the road, and I have no idea why Travis has this belief that things are going to go back to the way they are, because it's pretty obvious that they're not going to. He then lights a fire, and he shares some cans of Fragiolis with Chris, and they reminisce on camping at Big Bear, and his mom wasn't a fan because she was a city girl, and they start to debate the best place to go would be, and a truck with lights on top of it pulls up. Chris then quickly kills the fire, and he hides with Travis, and they approach with flashlights, and I thought that was definitely interesting to see. Chris then reveals to Travis that they're actually not there to hurt them, and I thought that was interesting. Chris wants to attack, but Travis stands. He tries to be very diplomatic about the situation. You know, he's just kind of going to be on his way and let them do what they need to do, and the man questions what supplies Travis and Chris have. Chris claims to have saved the young man's life, but the man Brandon claims that Chris stole his stuff, and this is where the episode starts faltering for me. I'm like, why are we focusing on this? For me, I don't think we needed any of this in the episode. I think it should have focused on Travis and Chris trying to bond. That would have been an interesting story. That I would have liked. But where this goes, I find it to be extremely unnecessary, and I'll talk about that in a second, but at the hotel, Alicia sneaks into the hallway. She searches for Ophelia, having no idea where she is, and walkers then corner her to an elevator shaft, so she pries it open, grabs on the cables, and the walkers try to grab her, but falls down to the bottom. Alicia then pulls herself up the shaft, and a flashlight shines at her, and a new face grabs Alicia's hand, pulls her to safety. The woman pushes Alicia against the wall with an axe, asking, where is he? Obviously asking about, you know, what happened, you know, with Hector, the father that died. We don't know what happened with him, but I thought that definitely was interesting. Chris and Travis then camp in their new acquaintances. It's very friendly. They're eating, getting to know each other. I'm like, why is this, and what is the relevance of this? Like, this to me felt exactly like what was going on in the hotel. Just a lot of kumbayaing, nothing really going on, and The guys find out from San Diego. Travis fills them in on what they saw in San Diego. Brandon insists humans will come back, saying that they always do. He turns the conversation to how impressed he was by Chris's ability to take out the undead and calls them the Wasted. And here's my problem with Brandon, is that Brandon is literally the exact same character we saw last week in Nick's storyline. I like the character that we met last week. This character, though, just feels like it's the exact same character, and I don't like that the storyline's exactly the same. So Brandon asks Killer Chris how many he's killed. He says 17. They offer the pair a ride to San Diego, and Travis turns it down, but is also offered a ride to the next town we see. So I thought that was interesting. Alicia then talks to the woman who found her, who was seeing the wedding, of course, start the episode, and she questions Alicia about where he is. But Alicia, of course, has no idea what she's talking about. And Alicia wants to go downstairs, but the woman won't let her leave. And the woman reveals that Hector actually is her nephew, and he went to get food and never came back. I thought it was going to be the father, but that's not what's going on. She says the guests took him to draw her out, and she said that she's in control of the hotel because she has the keys. And she clearly is someone that doesn't want anyone else to get a hold of it. And Alicia offers to help if the woman helps her find her family. This I loved. Honestly, I felt the entire episode should have just been these two, because I really got into this story. I thought seeing Alicia bonding with her, them both having reasons for being in that hotel and trying to fight off against these walkers, I thought was actually very thrilling. And it scenes like this where I think the show really does excel. I mean, when we think about the best episodes, what is the best episode the show has given us? When they're held hostage by those, by those pirates or whatever in that episode, when they were held hostage. I thought that was interesting. But it was also the episode where they developed Strand. And this episode, I think, really demonstrates how good the show is when you do some tension-filled stuff, when you do some thrilling stuff. I think the show can be really good. It's just when you have things like Travis and Chris kumbayaing around a fire with these guys that it just isn't as interesting. I think that's, like I said, the main problem with the majority of this episode. So Travis and Chris then discuss riding with their new pals, and Travis wants to stay put in the wide open space safely. Chris actually wants to go with them for their supplies. He feels that they're actually someone that they should go with. Travis asks how that happened, refuses to put himself in their debt, and Chris comes to the conclusion that Travis doesn't want to stray far from Madison, and Travis rules that the guys are dangerous. Here's my thing, though. If Travis wanted to go with Madison, why didn't he just go with her? I don't really understand why he didn't go with Madison. What was the reasoning for them going on their own? Was it because Travis felt that he was the only one that could control Chris? Was it that he felt that Chris and him, were inseparable and that he wanted to just be father-son time? Did he feel like Chris wanted nothing to do with Madison? Because I think we pretty much saw that Chris and Alicia, they were definitely getting close, and it seemed like those two were actually possibly going to get together. But the fact that Travis isn't with Madison, it just feels very weird. I mean, the thing is, they were fighting before. I was under the impression that Madison and Travis were kind of done, and that they realized that they can't really be together at this moment. But no, it doesn't seem that way. So I honestly have no idea why we're doing this in the first place. Why is it just Chris and Travis? I don't understand. That part felt very weird to me. So the next day, Alicia and the women open the stairwell doors. It leads the walkers down the hallway. Alicia tells her to run. She leads them into a hotel room by making them follow some noise. She kills one woman, a maid, and then locks herself in the balcony as Helena closes the door. The glass starts to crack, and Helena then throws Alicia a string of towels. She helps her to the other balcony, and Alicia asks what took her so long before telling her that she has to come downstairs with her. Very well done scene. Again, I like those two helping each other out. Thought that was some really good stuff. And downstairs, Helena and Alicia find the room to where the wedding reception was held, and Helena talks about the father of the bride having a heart attack and attacking his own daughter in front of her mother, and she reveals that she contained the situation by locking them inside, we find out. And she ran with Hector. They waited for help, but unfortunately no one came. So Alicia promises that she's going to protect her, that she's going to help her find her son, and in turn, Helena's going to help her find her family. And honestly, I think in this sense, Alicia was right to trust Helena, because they're in very similar situations. They're both in circumstances that they can't really control. Alicia and Ophelia, they were kind of just going around to see who was there or what was going on exactly. And Elena was there because she was working at the wedding and everything. She was one of the receptionists, and again, they're both trapped here. They can't really get out, and I like seeing those two bond together. I thought that stuff was definitely well done, and like I said, it's moments in this that I think the show really does shine. So Chris rides in the front of the pickup truck. The boy jokes about girls in the bed. Travis and Brandon talk. Brandon claims this is living, and the end times have made him and his friends gods, despite being nobody before the world fell apart. And Kristen spots a farm, the group searches it, and I'm like, no, please don't go to the farm, because we know how boring that was in The Walking Dead. And the guys walk away. Travis tells Chris he wants to stay on the farm. Chris tells Travis that they need people. He doesn't want to stay here. He catches up to the guys, and at this point, I have no idea what he's thinking. I don't know why Chris decided to do this. I thought this was time for Chris to bond with Travis. I don't know why he's going with them. But whatever, the guys find a barn full of chickens. They run around trying to catch them. Very weird scene, may I add, just them running around. I have no idea what they were trying to do here, but Travis then discovers some graves marked 2010, and he suspects that there may actually be people around, and obviously there could be walkers there, so he's obviously freaking out about that. So I was thinking that maybe he'd try to fight them off or something, but Alicia and Helena cautiously maneuver the hotel lobby. They come to the bar, and Alicia starts to try and open the door. A group comes up behind them with Hector as a hostage. Alicia insists that they hand over the keys. The man demands them. It's the wedding party, and the groom, the bride's mother. Alicia insists that Helena hand over the keys, and as she does, Alicia opens the door, and the infected start towards their enemies, and this scene was just crazy. Travis urges Chris to leave just as a man bursts in with a shotgun. We don't know who this man is, but obviously he's not there for good reason. Alicia then finds a woman who looks like her mother that's actually a walker, and it's not her, and I was actually going to freak out. I actually thought that, holy shit, they might have killed Madison, but they didn't. Alicia then puts her down. Travis reasons with the man, tries to get his group to leave. Alicia and Helena make an escape to the hotel, with walkers following them down hallways. One of Brandon's pals then kills a chicken. The landowner shoots them in the leg. Obviously, they don't have a good reputation. Obviously, this landowner is the person's chickens, and Alicia and Helena are then trapped at a locked door. Chris shoots the man for some reason. Alicia tries to get out. Madison pulls it open. Inside, Strand blocks the door, and at this point, I was very confused because they said there was going to be a major death, and you can tell by the end of this episode that no one died except the homeowner, but no one really cares about him. Travis then watches the homeowner die, looks at his son with disappointment, realizing what his son has done. Chris offers his hand to Travis, who doesn't accept it, I think just kind of coming to the realization that he can't help his son, and that is the way the episode ends. But let's get in this episode overall, because I really do have a lot to say here. Here's the problem with this whole Chris and Travis stuff, is that it seemed like it was starting out with Travis trying to get Chris to bond with him, and them trying to survive on their own, them trying to just get over what was going on. If that was the episode, if it was just them trying to bond over what they were doing and figure out what was going on, and, you know, try to just bond again and be father and son and pretend like, you know, there is another family, that would have been really good. That I would have really enjoyed. I would have preferred, actually, if it was that. This whole thing with Brandon and the landowner, we didn't need any of this, because Brandon's just someone that's obviously going to hurt Chris, and unfortunately, because of that, it's really made me feel like this arc is completely unnecessary. I don't really think we needed to do it. I don't really know why they went in this direction. It feels strange that they went here. I don't know why they did this. I mean, Chris and Travis, why didn't Travis just go with Madison? I mean, he needs to realize that his son's a lost cause, and I like that Travis realized it here, but why didn't he just realize it before? I mean, it doesn't really make sense to me why we went through this whole thing with Travis and Chris going on their own, and now Travis realizing that he might not be able to save Chris. And honestly, if Travis leaves, I think they should just write Chris off the show, because I don't really think they know what to do with this character. I don't really like this character. I used to like this character, but they've really been, I think, you know, changing his character in the past couple episodes. In 1 second he's helping people, and the next second he's killing people. And that didn't make any sense to me whatsoever. Why in the first scene is he helping these people, and the next scene he's killing them? I don't understand why he gave in to Brandon so quickly, why he bonded with him so quickly. It just felt so weird to me. It felt so out of character, and again, it's not really out of character, though, because I don't really know these characters. Again, the show doesn't have the firmest grasp on these characters. And Chris, by far, is the one that I feel they're the most confused about. They don't really know how to write this character, and I think we definitely do see that. So Chris is someone I feel they should just abandon. He's not really working for me. As far as this whole Alicia stuff, I do like Alicia and Helena. I thought their bonding was very good. Are they going to accept Helena? What's going to happen with that? Obviously, they're going to have to get out of there at some point. It just felt weird that there wasn't a death, though. They made it seem like there was going to be a death, and there really wasn't one. The problem with this season, I'm just not feeling that urgency. I'm not feeling like their life is on the line. I'm not feeling like this is a dire situation, because it is, but it just, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling like these characters actually have a chance of dying. I'm not feeling like things are getting crazy. And I have to say, if the show doesn't win me over, I mean, the Alicia and Helena stuff I definitely did like, but I honestly feel the entire episode should have just been around them. I think that would have been a lot more interesting. I think we could have had a much different type of episode had they done that, and if they cut out all the Chris and Travis stuff, I would have liked the episode a lot more, because everything with Alicia and Helena is pretty close to perfect, but it's really just the Chris and Travis stuff that really did lower this episode for me. But I do have to say that if the show doesn't get its act together, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue watching, because it seems like every week there's something I like, but then there's something I don't like, and I just can't really figure out what they're trying to do this season. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. The Nick storyline does, and I think the hotel one's starting to make sense, and I feel like they're going to do more with it, but Chris and Travis should feel completely unnecessary. I don't know why they went this direction. I don't know why they had Travis go out on his own, especially because he wants to be with Madison. I don't know why he didn't just go with Madison in the first place. It just feels very unnecessary, and just seems like another part of unnecessary drama to add. And also, the episode of points was extremely boring. I definitely will say that. Like, the scenes with Travis and Brandon I thought were very, very slow. I was not into them at all. But obviously, this is someone that's very bad. We'll have to see what happens with Brandon. I think that's going to be interesting. But just Brandon, characters like that, they're the same character for Nick that is with Chris, and I think Nick's arc's a lot more interesting. I would have liked to see Nick's arc in this episode. I don't know why we didn't see it, but we didn't for some reason. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Like I said, again, very mixed with it. I really love the hotel stuff. I like the first half of this episode with Chris and Travis, and I really did not like the second half. But let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Love to hear your thoughts on it. But I will see, and that's in my review. Hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for the season premiere of Narcos, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.